Be careful.
And Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end.
Yeah, right.
The podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
And welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny.
Yes, it is.
And we can't go behind the funny without mentioning the smooth sipping whiskey Jefferson's bourbon.
Yes.
The unofficial official bourbon of the Acement and the Behind the Funny podcast. Here's a sip, and here's to you, our viewers and our listeners, if you're listening to this.
Why are you talking like Christopher Walken?
I am. I got that
All of a
halting
sudden,
way
I don't know
of
why.
talking.
It's crazy.
Wow. Jefferson's.
Fantastic.
I love it. All of a sudden we have the talking, walking podcast.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
And you know what? We're still getting used to this this video shit because I started the video and you still saw us on either side of it. I'm like, oh shit, I got to take us out.
I love it. We got the opening sequence playing with the awesome intro music and the awesome pictures that you put together.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Ace taking a sip of his bourbon, and there's me looking at him saying something. I'm like, oh, kind of a new little, behind the scenes peek as this is going on. But anyway,
behind the funny.
Yes, let's go behind the funny. But anyway, thank you,
right.
those of you watching us live and joining us here once again. It is great having you, and we have another exciting guest to have tonight. Ace continues his streak of booking awesome guests.
I am amazing. I know.
I know. He's
listen. I just ask, and people say yes, and it's great.
But you know, I like the all the different guests from different areas. You know, we've had people from the West Coast, from Australia, from the East Coast. So we get to talk to a lot of different people. Al Romas from in Florida, you know. So we're talking to a lot of different people from a lot of different places, which is just absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
And we got a great one tonight.
Tonight's no different. And so, I'm the king of long intros, so I'm going to give you an intro on this guy. So if you've listened to Behind the Funny before, you've heard us talk about, unfortunately he's no longer with us, but there was a booker in Connecticut named Matt Jednak. Really, really nice guy, really cool guy.
Funny Money Comedy was the name of his company.
Funny Money Comedy. And I had reached out to him and I said, hey, I've been a comic for, 20 something years, would love to work with you, gave him some references of other people that worked for him. And he gave me a couple of gigs and I kept telling him, he kept featuring me. And I'm like, I've been headlining for a while. If I could get a headlining gig, I really appreciate it. More money, obviously. And he was like, yeah. And then he booked me for a show one night. And it was just one of those deals where, it was at a church. It was a church fundraiser.
In your wheelhouse.
It's like right in my wheelhouse. I just had an amazing set that night to the point where I actually got off stage and he asked me, he goes, hey, do you have like 10 or 15 minutes more? I go, yeah, why? He goes, can you do 10 or 15 minutes more after the raffle? Because they loved you. And I was like, yeah, sure. But this guy was the headliner and I felt bad because it was just one of those deals where I had a great night and he completely followed me with no fucking problem. But the funniest line of the night was he comes up to me and the way he said it, he comes up after I get off stage. Like I don't sweat, but I was sweating because it was one of those nights. I was in it. Yeah. I had this audience and I come off stage and he goes, hey, when do you think you lost them? I fucking lost it. He was so funny. I love this guy. And so for months, I've been asking him to be on the podcast. And this was pre-pandemic. So, we were trying to travel and figure out. And I think he lives
Do 'em
in like
live.
Western Connecticut, but he is just a hilarious comic. And, you know, I can't give him any other credit than this. On his website, it
Yeah.
says it.
This is astounding.
He is the 9,647th biggest name in show business.
Crack that top
So
10,000.
we are so happy to have Mr. Rich Walker on the show. Rich, here he is.
Hey, guys.
Hey, thanks for being on, man.
We're working our way up the list. Next week, we're going to have number 9,646.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're trying.
Well,
We're trying.
I'm at the point where I just wait for a comic to die so I could keep moving up.
Just to move up. Yeah, right.
I have to have my business cards constantly changed.
You just put white out over it and type another number on, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
After this past year, we got to save money somewhere.
Yeah,
so.
no shit, right? So
I
now,
think I actually need new headshots. I have them on my business cards. When I bought the cards, I had 1,000 cards
uh-huh.
like 20 years ago, and I have about 947 still left.
Yeah.
Think about some of the stuff that you bought over the years. That was the thing at the time. Like
Headshots? How about headshots?
Oh, yeah.
We all
Oh,
get
yeah.
a box still, right?
ABC printing.
ABC printing, yeah.
ABC
Right.
printing.
500
Yeah,
black
there's
and
a
white.
white frame around it or not,
Yes.
right?
The big white border with your name at the bottom.
500 black and white lithographs for $125.
Yep.
And you send
Right,
them everywhere. You know, hey, listen, in the closet right on the side of us, I have about 1,000 CDs of my CD that you can now get on streaming services. But I've got 1,000 of them right there. Cost me $5 each. And if I ever sold them for $10, people go, "What are you, fucking high?"
And they, you know, because you had your press kit back in the day that you had
Yeah.
to send out. So
You got to save all them because in about 20 years, when they bring the DVD player back, as a
Yes,
retro
I
thing,
know.
you could actually sell them again,
I
when
know.
that becomes retro.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
like LPs now. Everybody
Yeah, right.
wants LPs,
Yeah.
right?
Now kids love vinyl. Yeah, eventually they'll rediscover CD. Have you heard these things called CDs? They're way better than streaming.
Dude,
Yeah.
my cassette collection in my attic is going to be
No
huge
shit,
one
right?
day.
Yeah.
Huge.
I know.
I still have my cassette collection.
Yeah.
It's in that wood case.
Yeah,
Same
from,
thing.
yeah.
You know,
Columbia
with the
House
slots?
record and tape.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where,
yeah,
where
yeah.
you could have the name of the band or the cassette on the outside and you'd stack them all up.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
I have
Yeah.
like 3 of those in my attic right now. We're up in the attic going through some stuff, and I'm like, look at this! Oh my god, I got Van Halen in here, White Snake. I'm like, these are going to be collector's items. My wife's like, yeah. Whatever.
I've
You know
got
what's
every. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ace. Go.
I was just going to say, I've got every Scorpions album from 1968 through 1989 on cassette in that closet right next to my CDs. So
You ever go to like a garage sale and you see like their pile of CDs and you're like, wow, I always wanted this, but you're like, nah, it's on Spotify, the whole album.
exactly. Yeah.
Or I rip it off of YouTube for free.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Exactly.
it's
I
just
know.
clutter. Now it's clutter, you know.
Right.
Exactly. So Rich, I talked a little bit about the first time we met, and now how long have you been doing comedy? When did you start doing comedy?
Real quick, I want to go back to that story.
Yeah.
that you were telling. Well, I've been doing comedy now 26 years,
Okay.
but I remember that Matt Jetniak,
Yeah.
Jetniak,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jednak. Yeah.
Jetniak, and I remember doing that. And I remember you laid that place out, right? And then you did go back, funnily, oddly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because he wanted me to go back up because he didn't want to go back up as the host. He only had the 2 of us on the show. And
Right.
he was a booker, but
He did comedy.
he did comedy, but he knew he wasn't like a headliner or a feature. He just hosted. And I think after I got off stage, he didn't want to go back up to after the raffle. He wanted someone to just go back up after the intermission and warm them up for another 5 minutes. And he figured, well, because I had done well, he wanted me to go back up.
Yeah.
But when you ever you grabbed my arm and you were like, when do you think you lost them? I fucking lost it.
and only other comedians get that joke.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I'm actually from Long Island. You said,
Yeah.
where is it? Connecticut. And but I mean, that's a staple out here. You're not ripping the comics each other to pieces, you know.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's the whole fun of the night. I mean, there's nothing a comic loves more to see another comic bomb. And
Yeah.
you know, like there's something gratifying about,
Especially if they're your friend. It's
Yeah,
even
that's
more
the best.
satisfying, right?
You know, I did a gig out in Montauk Point once with, I don't know if you know, do you know, did you ever have Mick Thomas on?
No.
He's an
I haven't worked
Irish comic, but we go all the way out to Montauk Point, and everybody in the restaurant were Irish. Like the help was Irish
Yeah.
because Montauk Point gets them from like Ireland, like to do the, you know, the catering hall.
Come out and
stuff like
work.
that.
Yeah.
And we're driving home, and he stabbed me good in the show. He made fun of me with something, but on the way home, he goes, you know, half of those people were my family and friends. And I said, gee, you think they would have been more supportive? But
Did he get it?
Yeah, he got
He got it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
Don't you love
funny.
the comic that doesn't get it? Like they're like, I don't understand, but
I don't get it. No,
Yeah.
I got it when you said it. So it's funny because you said you're from Long Island. We just had last week, we had Al Romas
yeah.
on, and you know, we originally from Long Island, now down in Florida. So did you start like around the same time, or were you
He
in
was
the same
actually
area?
doing it for about 5 or 6 years before me.
Okay.
So I came in and I was like, I used to look up to Al Romas, like, oh my God, it's Al Romas.
Yeah.
But a funny story, I went down to, I don't know if you knew a club in Brooklyn called Toppers. And
Heard
the
of
guy
him.
looked like
Heard of him.
Burgess Meredith, and he looked like the Penguin from Batman. And I show up at the gig on a weekend, and it says there's a showcase with all the headshots from ABC Pictures.
Yeah.
And it was a headshot of Al Romas, and underneath it said Rich Walker. So I go in, I go, how come, why didn't you have my head? He goes, I didn't have your headshot, so I figured close enough. But he looks kind of like me.
Yeah, right.
You know,
That's so funny. Oh my God.
but Al's always fun. He's great at belittling other comics right in front of them without them even knowing it. You know?
Because he says shit under his breath.
That's
you know?
right. Yeah.
He even said it. He said it to me because I was saying how my retirement plan is like what every other comic is. That's their job, is to like go down to Florida and do cruise ships. And I go, he was saying how other comics are always bugging him to help him out, get into cruise ships and stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, well, listen, I'm going to reach out to you when I retire in like 7 years. He goes, yeah, don't call me. You know, like all under his breath, though. You know?
Do you do cruise ships?
I haven't. No, because I got a day job. I work in medical sales during the day. So if I was going to do a
you're
cruise
a
ship,
comic that makes money.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I if I was going to do cruise ships, I'd have to like take vacation to go do a cruise ship.
Yeah,
which wouldn't be horrible, I guess. You know,
no,
but
I just want to say one thing. I did a cruise ship before the pandemic, and it was kind of famous. Because it was in all the papers on the news because it was a couple, a married couple, and the spouse accidentally fell overboard on the cruise ship. And it was all over the news. Was it murder, not murder, whatever? And I did a joke on the ship, and they wanted to like helicopter me off the boat. And
really?
And you want to hear the joke I said? I said,
you gotcha. Yeah.
I'm like the magician that says, want to see what's in the box? Okay.
You want to see the trap door?
Yeah. But I said, how come nobody ever accidentally falls overboard on a singles cruise? And then it's like, you know, but I didn't care.
One of the funniest things I ever heard about those cruise ships and people falling over was one day on Opie and Anthony. They had Patrice O'Neal on, and when Patrice was on, everyone just sat back and let him just go off.
Yeah.
And they were talking about how, you know, you got to think that some people plan honey, we're going on a cruise, knowing they're going to give her the old heave ho when they go up on the upper deck. And Patrice,
exactly.
Patrice goes, do you think there's some island guys that are in on it going, brother, buy your girl a rock coat. We got these beautiful rock coat. Look at her in the rock coat. And then you push her overboard. Blah, 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 blah. And I
brutal.
died for 20 minutes. Let's do describe the whole
rock
market
coat.
of rock coats that they were selling to all these couples. It's
So
just
funny.
brilliant. But you could never do that on the cruise ship ever.
No.
Well, the one I was on, I don't do nice big Royal Caribbean stuff like Al does, but mine was a crappy. This cruise was such a cheap cruise. They had an above ground pool, and
They had to start the motors.
they had a 2,800 seat auditorium. You know what their show was?
What?
Me.
And they only
I
had
had a guy that did
1,500
2 sets
people.
in front of me. What?
They only had 1,500 people on the cruise.
Yeah.
but a 2,800 auditorium. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Wow.
So you started like 20, like you said, 26 years ago.
Yeah.
What made you get on stage that first time? And where was it?
Okay, well, I always wanted to do comedy my whole life. I grew up watching, like every other comic, Johnny Carson every night. I used to love the comedians. And at that time, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, her mother cut an ad out in the paper that said, bring your best 15 minutes down to, it was called Long Island Cafe, which I think became a gay bar later. It was like the Backdoor Cafe or something.
Yep.
But so she cuts the ad out. And then I broke my ankle and I slipped on the ice and I went through 2 years of surgery on it. But I was in a cast. I said, once my leg heals, I'm going to go down and do 15 minutes. But I was home from work for 3 months. So I started writing down all my material and all my jokes. So I was prepared. So when I went to do the show, it was only 3 months later. It healed. And I didn't know what the light meant. And I did.
I cut an album.
You only got
I
to make
still
that mistake
don't know.
once.
Yeah.
But I did 15 minutes on my first night and I was hooked. And I don't know if you know Joe Starr. Did he do your show? I got to
No.
get him on your show. You'll love Joe Starr. And Joe
Definitely.
Starr came over to me and he goes, this is where I learned the business my first night. He goes, come here a second. I want to talk to you. You are really good. He goes, would you like to come back next week? I was like, yeah, thank you so much. He goes, come back next week. Bring all your friends and family to come see you. And I was like, oh, yeah, I will. I
This
didn't
is
know.
awesome.
They just wanted to fill the bar.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But
And maybe
But anyway,
bring
that's what I started
a
doing.
watch too.
the what?
Maybe bring a watch too, so you stick
We'll
with your
watch it
time.
next time.
Oh,
But it's addicting, as you know.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, did you do well that first time? You
I
said you
loved
did. You loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When we talk to people who are true comics, whether you bombed that first night or did well, you can't wait to get back up on stage. Because if you did well, it's like a drug. You're like, holy shit,
Bitten by the
that
bug.
feels awesome, right?
Right.
But if you didn't do well, you're also addicted because you're like, I know I could do
you
better
think
than
you
that.
did well.
Yeah, yeah, right. Oh, yeah, we all know
Wow.
those comics too. I
Yeah.
crushed last night. I'm like, were you at the same show I was? Because you
Yeah.
bombed. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a comic I used to work with when I first started. Should I say his name or
I
not?
don't
It's up to
care.
you.
Why not?
It's up to you.
His name was. All right,
Is he still doing comedy?
No.
Oh, fuck him.
His name was David Breitkoff.
Okay.
And
Nope.
he was like a little bit delusional. And he went up on stage.
I'm gonna
I
Google him.
swear he walks off and goes, wow, they love me. Did you see I killed? What I saw was a guy at the table like this, and he goes, and
that was his
good
kill.
enough. That
Yep.
was good enough for him. Later on, I saw him like on Letterman. He was like,
Seriously?
he wrote a book, and he was like pitching the book on it, not on comedy, but on something else he did. But I was like, oh, great, he makes it on Letterman, but I didn't.
I just looked him up. David Breitkoff has toggled between writing and tennis his entire life.
Oh,
Mentions nothing about fucking comedy.
Because he made so much money between writing
Yeah,
and tennis.
exactly. Yeah. No, I remember doing shows with people like that. And then I did a show with a guy like that. And he was like, oh, I crushed last night. And he was telling other people, and I'm sitting there going, I was on that show. He did not crush.
Wait a minute. I said that to you with that church.
Oh shit!
No.
I watched a guy at an open mic get off stage, go up to the guy that books it, and he goes, "How much do I get paid for that?" First time on
Imagine
stage.
that. Yeah. How much do I get
How much
paid
do
for
I get
that?
paid for that?
How much? That's a comic.
Yeah. Now you knew you always wanted to do comedy. Did you grow like? Did you have siblings? Siblings in your family?
Not funny.
Not funny. All right.
My mother and father divorced, but they both had a very dry sense of humor. Very dry. I don't know if you heard on Long Island, there's a place called Westbury Music Fair, which is a big circular stage.
Yep.
You know,
in the round.
About, like all the way up to like row M or whatever.
Yep.
And
does it turn? Is it on like a turntable? Yeah.
But everybody who's anybody has performed there.
Right.
Don Rickles, everybody.
Yeah.
And I took my mother to a show. This is years and years ago before she died. And I take her to see, she loved a country band called Little Texas. I don't know if you.
Yes, I've heard of them. Yeah.
And so, but now as the band circled, this is my mother's sense of humor. So without knowing, it's funny. But they're going around the stage, and the bass guitar kept flirting with a girl every time he went around. It's like he's going like this.
As he's playing bass.
He's playing. So
just inviting her for a drink. That's all. What's wrong with that?
So here's what happened. So we're walking outside, and my mother goes, "I want to go to that." She was an old woman. I want to go over to the bus where they're all waiting to meet the band. So I said, well, let's go. Let's go. So I said, on the way to the walk, I said, did you see that guitarist trying to make the date, from the stage with that girl in the audience? And she goes, well, of course I saw it. She goes, the whole place saw it. What did you think he was going to do? Stand on stage and go like this?
She knew exactly what it meant.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not to mention the obvious.
So you were where did you fall in as far as the siblings? Oldest, youngest, middle?
Youngest. I'm the baby.
Of course.
Yep. You know how we could tell? For 4 years we've been doing this show.
We've asked that question.
We can count on one hand the amount of firstborns that are comics. It's always the middle child or the baby because we were screaming for attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've had less than 5 that were the oldest. I think it was actually like 3.
Yeah, probably.
That were the oldest child.
Well, because
really?
like
I never knew that.
Tom, Tom Cotter. He's a Rhode Island guy. Originally, his dad was like this world-renowned, neurosurgeon. His brother's an admiral in the army, and he's like, yeah, and I'm fucking joke boy, telling my dick jokes on stage.
He goes, imagine sitting at that Thanksgiving table, and they're going around, and this guy's done this, and this guy's done that. He goes, they actually did a movie where somebody played my father. He goes, and I can't get a part in a movie.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
But it's true. We've asked everybody, and the only ones that were the oldest most of the time were only children.
Hey,
wow.
By the way, not to cut in, but I'm looking at the comments, and someone called us handsome mofos. So we have to thank Down to the Felt, New Jersey.
What scares me is that's a bit of an anonymity. We don't know if that's a male or a female.
I don't care. They love the show. That's all I care about.
There it is.
And then Jen, our friend Jen, said above ground pool, LOL. That's awesome. So he's reading.
I feel like I'm the only one on the show without glasses.
So I know. I know. I should take them off.
Welcome to the Comics Over 50 podcast.
And I can't see shit.
My glasses.
Yeah, I can see. I can see your ring light.
I see the ring light on Scott's head. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, we have
hold on, now you really can, Rich.
Yeah,
there you go.
There it is.
There you go. We need more light in the room. I got you.
Right.
I know. So youngest, and you always wanted to do comedy. What was like your home club in, because is it like Governors is the only one I've heard of out there. Well, is that
I liked, did you ever perform at McGuire's in Bohemia?
No, but I've heard of it.
It's like a big 150 seat living room.
Really?
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun. Low ceiling. Yep. And when you talk to people, you're talking to them.
It's like it's like a club in the city. It's small and intimate, right?
Yeah, I like that. I like that better. On Long Island, there's another place called the Paramount Theater, and the Paramount is like 1,600 seats.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
the stage is like 10 feet high.
Yeah.
And you're
Yep.
looking down like at people and looking up. That's not, I
Yeah.
don't think that's what stand-up comedy is. I think that stand-up comedy is supposed to be intimate, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's true. When you do a theater style show with the big audience, you lose that personal connection
Yeah.
with the crowd. That's what we crave so much, is to be able to make that connection.
And you have to actually have material.
That
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
It's like,
you can't
I
do-
gotta actually write for this.
You can't, yeah. Crowd work
When you do
doesn't work in a theater, right?
When you're backstage, every comic's like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Like you're programming your head into
Yeah.
what order you're gonna do your jokes,
Right.
Guys
It's
actually
different.
have their pads out that they haven't had in
Oh.
10 years, and they got
Yeah.
a set list. And
Scary.
that's actually stressful now. Once you've been doing it for a while, you can walk up in a club and just do a set and work your way through it, and the crowd's right there, no big deal. But when you got to plan out a set because you're going to be up on this stage far away from everybody, that's where it's stressful.
It's like
in my
you're
opinion.
alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's when you have those moments where you're up there. Did you ever do this and go, oh my God, I'm standing in front of 500 people?
Yeah.
And you're like, don't psych yourself out.
Yeah, right.
did you
You
ever
know.
read Steve Martin's book, Born Standing Up?
No, but if
you-
one more
you-
person tells me,
That's a great book.
Yeah.
I've read it twice, but that's the reason he
Don't
walked.
brag because you can read.
Well, it was an
Brag.
audio book.
Okay.
I'm writing it down.
It was an audio book, but that's why he walked away from stand up when he was at the height of it, like he was, because he was doing
Coliseums and stuff.
he was doing
Yeah.
arenas and coliseums, and he said he was never more alone and lonely than he was performing in those places, because you couldn't even see the first row. You could see nothing when you're on those stages, and he hated every second of it.
Yeah.
And that's when he said, I can't do this anymore, and walked away, from the whole
Really?
thing. Yeah. But when you and you just explained the same thing on a smaller scale, obviously in the theaters,
Yeah.
the biggest
Well,
theater,
I'm
I
Rich
think.
Walker.
No, but we've all
No.
done a
Right.
theater of sorts, and the biggest one I ever
But
did was 1,000 people. And you're right, is you literally feel like, even though you can hear them, since you can't really see and connect with them, you feel by yourself.
But I think
Yep.
to what Rich said too, the thing with theaters too is if you're a quick delivery person,
Yeah.
it doesn't work in
Yeah.
a theater.
You gotta slow
have
down.
to slow it down so that everyone can hear it, and then it rolls, the laughter rolls back, and then it comes back up.
Yeah.
And that's really
Agreed.
difficult to adjust to, because to your point, when you said that the intimacy, you don't have that in a theater. You have to be bigger than life. That's why guys like Sebastian Maniscalco do so well. Even Bill Burr do so well in a theater, because they're almost like caricatures. You know what I mean? They're going above and beyond a normal performance. You know what I mean?
Well, they go on autopilot. Like
Yeah.
to me, I want to talk to people. Like I want to
Yeah.
convert. And it's not to say that I don't have material if I go into the crowd,
Mhm.
but I like the connection. I like
Right.
them coming
Yeah.
over to you to talk to you after the show. Where in a big theater, it's like, oh, you were good. And they walk right by. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Well, it becomes more of like a one-man show when you're in a theater, because it's just you performing, not interacting.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different. It's
Yeah,
totally
it's
so-
totally
it's
different.
just a different skill set. That's all that I haven't had to master yet.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not doing theaters every week.
Unfortunately, I haven't had to master yet, but
You know.
I
You
could get
guys,
used
how
to
far-
it.
Are you're in Rhode Island?
Yeah, so I live in Rhode Island. Scott lives in Connecticut, Eastern Connecticut, though.
Yeah.
And where are you now? Are you still in Long Island, or are you in
Long
Western
Island.
Connecticut?
Suffolk County.
Oh, Suffolk
Okay.
County. Okay.
Yeah. So you guys would know Port Jefferson.
Yep.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where you take from. Isn't that where you go
The
from
ferry.
Connecticut? Yeah, the ferry goes over to Port Jefferson.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm west by like 20 minutes, half hour.
Okay.
of-
All right.
yeah. And in between Nassau and Suffolk.
And that's where, isn't Governor's not far from there?
Governors is
far
on
from
both sides of me. So you got Governors in Levittown, which is west. I'm
Yep.
in the middle. Then you got McGuire's
Yeah.
east. And right below Governors on the South Shore of Long Island is Brokerage. And they
Brokerage
own-
Comedy Club. Yeah.
Have you ever done those clubs?
No, never done any of them. In fact, when we were at the Boston Comedy Festival. Well, we were there this year, but it was all virtual. But last year we were on it, and we had a kid. What was his name? The kid that was his home club was Governors, and he
yeah.
really, really nice kid. And he was like, "Oh yeah," he goes, I'll talk to them and get you guys in, sometime." And then the
3 months
world shut
later,
down, the world shut down. So we'll reach out to him after everyone's vaccinated.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm on Long Island 26 years, and I have a joke about that club that I'm hoping they're not watching.
Okay.
But I get, like, the joke is I'll get a call from the owner. His name's nice guy, great guy. Yeah, he treats the comics really good. But he calls me up and he goes, "Mr. Walker." And he goes, I said, "Yeah, Jimmy, how are you?" He goes, "I got a spot for you." Your Governors has a small room, by the way, which is like a 50 seat. So, and he goes, "I got a spot on Friday night in the teeny weeny tiny little room. And I need a good, strong guy who could MC." And I said right away, "Rich Walker's my guy. He's going to know somebody."
Awesome.
It's like, they think so little of you, like, especially if you're local. You know?
Oh
Like,
yeah. It's always toughest to get moved up in your home club. We were talking about that with Al Romas last week, because I had been doing the Comedy Connection for years and hosting. I was middling everywhere else. I was featuring everywhere else. And it wasn't until Al Romas and Adam Ferrara came into town, and Al claims that it was him. I seem to remember it was Adam, but Al says it was him. One of them turned to the club manager and was like, "How come this kid isn't featuring? Like, he's good enough to feature. Why isn't he featuring?" And that's what got me moved up. It always takes longer to get moved up in your own, your home club.
I believe Al, by the way.
Somebody, even guilty with us, once you see somebody for the first time and they're emceeing, let's say, or a guest spot, it's very hard to see them as anything else. You'll get a call. You see this kid, he's one of the funniest headliners I've ever seen. And like, "Who is it?" Like, and you're like, "What?" Like,
Right.
He used to MC. I never saw this.
I've only seen 5 minutes of their act. Right. Exactly.
But some people develop like really fast, like wow, like holy crap, they got so good in like 2 years. Did you guys ever find, like, when you first started, a major headline that was like you looked up to, and then you see them 10 years later and they lost the funny? Like,
Yep.
What is going on? Like,
what
how
happened?
Do you lose the funny?
I think it's because it's not that they lose the funny, they lose the passion for it.
They lose the passion, and then they're dialing it in. They're not enjoying themselves being up on stage anymore.
They try to live on the reputation that they built for themselves, and they go up there and just kind of mail it in and just do their
the
thing.
Audience smells that.
The audience
um,
smells everything.
Everything.
If you have the least little bit of doubt in your mind about a joke, the audience smells it.
When Seinfeld did his documentary, that Comedian, him and Colin Quinn were having the discussion about, I don't care who you are. You could be the most well-known person in the world. Colin said it. He goes, Jack Nicholson could walk on that stage and people would be blown away that he was on that stage for about 2 minutes. And then all of a sudden the audience is like, "All right, Jack, we're glad you're here, but you start getting funny."
Exactly.
Years back, I went to Atlantic City. Another comic friend had tickets to see Drew Carey because he's a high roller, I guess.
Yeah.
And, where they give you the room, at least you spend it up there.
Right.
And we went to see Drew Carey, who I would never normally go see, but he got so nasty and belligerent on stage.
Really?
And this was after the TV show, right before The Price is Right. And he's like, "Get out of here, you old fuckers. Like, I mean, pardon my French.
Wow.
No, that's fine.
This is an
And-
explicit podcast.
Say
You
what
can
you
I
want,
was
yeah.
like, holy crap. And
Yeah.
then at that time, he started in on Christopher Reeve jokes, which was really weird. I'm like,
Really?
of course they're walking out. It's
Right.
horrible.
Yeah.
And that's after the fame. Because they
Right.
can't handle people not laughing at them, I think.
Right.
That's why I was impressed when I saw Jay Leno at Foxwoods after he had the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And he went out there and he was a stand-up when he was on that stage. The guy still walked out like, you know, he was still trying to make his way to the top.
Yeah.
He was still trying to prove himself. He nailed every punchline. I mean, he delivered for over an hour. You know, he did like 70 minutes and from beginning to end, laughs. I mean, just a polished, professional, great.
Yeah.
I had never seen his full stand-up set like that. I just saw his Tonight Show monologues and those type of
His
things.
awfully written material on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, that's not really his.
That's not,
obviously.
no.
You
No,
see
it's
his
not.
actual stand-up act, he's a great
He's a-
stand-up.
He's a killer stand-up.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so blown away when I saw him that time. I was like, wow. And because there's a guy that doesn't have to do it.
Right.
No.
He didn't have to. He did it because
love
he
it.
still has a love for it. You know, and that's why I say passion is the difference between those guys that are mailing it in and guys like that. You know,
Yeah. But
So-
Jay Leno has always been the real deal. Jay Leno, do you remember the writer's strike?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Jay Leno stayed on the Tonight Show, but for those 2 weeks, he wrote his own material. And my God, it was the funniest the Tonight Show ever was when he was
Mhm.
writing his own material. But like the business always raves about these guys, like, was it Jimmy Brogan and all these guys?
right?
Yeah.
Yes. They never struck me that funny. I'm not knocking them. Now watch, like Jimmy Brogan was looking at me to give you.
That's it. You lost your
Yeah, you
shot.
screwed up. Yeah.
Now he just saw that. He's like,
Yeah.
"Ah, now I don't want him.
Fuck that guy.
He's been following all my podcasts. For the last
Yeah,
year.
right.
he just lifted up a pad and went, scratch that name.
Let him keep playing the itty bitty rooms on Long Island.
Itty bitty, teeny, tiny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, but
No, you're right. He and you know, probably because the writers were on strike, he was probably like, listen, you got to let me do my material, because his material on stage is actually a little edgy. You know, he was an edgy comic. He wasn't as whitewashed as he is on, as he was on the Tonight Show. So he was probably like, look, the writers are on strike. I'm the best you got. So you're going to have to deal with whatever I come up with.
but it was great. It was the best 2 weeks.
Oh,
of that
yeah.
Tonight Show
Yeah.
when he was writing it, and not relying on somebody else. You know who else I thought had horrible writers? Because when I tell you that he says this, you're going to go, he did say that all the time. He had to save the jokes with a saver, after. And it was David Letterman.
Yeah.
Horrific. He used to go up and do a joke, and then he would say, but folks, because the material was so bad, if you're
Right.
writing for the Tonight Show, you better deliver.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
wouldn't any of you, like, you would say, this has got to be good material.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
They expect these
So that
guys.
was his saver, was by saying, but folks.
But folks,
Yeah.
as he used to say it all the time, Johnny Carson, I'm sure you guys know this already, I'm just telling viewers, but Johnny Carson's material was written to bomb. So he could pull the cue
Yes.
card out
So
of
he
his
could-
hand
Yeah.
and go give it to somebody in the audience and say, take this home with you. I'm never doing that again.
Yeah.
Well, it
Right,
was
right.
written that way.
Yeah.
Right. Or he would just do that, put his hands in his pockets and do the face.
Or when he did the whole collar thing and you're like, ew. That was
Yeah.
part.
The
That was part of the
mugging
joke.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was part of the joke.
So Rich, what were you've been doing it 26 years. You've got to have some wow moments. Like, are there any times where you've been like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm working here, or I can't believe I'm working this stage, or I'm working with this person?
Beside the time you worked with Ace. For
Yeah,
Bad
besides
Jack
the
Act,
church
beside
gig.
that time.
Yeah.
Besides the church gig.
Yeah.
Like what was like the most powerhouse or bad?
No,
story?
just any of those moments, because we've all had those moments where you're like,
The thing that
holy
impressed
shit,
you.
I can't believe I'm here right now, or I can't believe I just
Yeah.
got to work with that
I
person
got
right
this
now.
one. There was when I was about maybe 10 years in the business, I went on a cruise ship a Carnival cruise ship. This is before performing professionally,
Mhm.
and I joined the talent show, and that was a full theater. It must have been like 2,800 people in that theater.
Wow.
And I used to do a song parody. Don't laugh, but instead of "Loving the Rocks" by Neil Diamond, it was "Life Without Socks," and it's the old hack bit about losing the sock in the laundry.
In the laundry.
Edgy
But I
stuff.
used to go out in the audience, and like there's a part where I go, pull out your hair. I'm sorry, I get carried away, and I go back. And but when I did that, the whole theater standing ovation, balcony, and everything.
Wow.
And you know the old joke. Don't hold this against me, but the old joke when you go, "Can I have some nice blue mood lighting, please?" And,
Of course.
and they don't do anything, and you go, "Perfect."
Perfect.
But I go on the ship, and I wasn't expecting. I go, "Can I have some nice blue mood lighting, please?" All blue lights.
They actually
you weren't
listened.
supposed to hit blue lights.
You fucked up the joke.
You fucked it up.
That's awesome.
They weren't
But
in on the
that
joke.
one, everywhere I went, even at my door, my cabin, there was a pile of socks outside my door.
No.
Because people were giving me socks wherever I went because I lost the sock,
That's hilarious.
But that was fun. I was a celebrity, big time celebrity for a week,
That's great.
Right. Without even being the professional comic on the show. That's fantastic. Oh my God.
It was funny. Do you know Carl Guerra?
No.
Okay, we go on a family cruise before the pandemic, like just it was Easter week before the pandemic hit. And I meet the first night, I meet the comedian. Of course, you're going to go over and say, "Hey, I'm a comedian too, blah, blah, blah." But I'm on vacation now, And he buddied up with me, which was weird.
Yep.
And on Thursday, my son and I are having lunch out on the deck in the back. And he comes over and goes, can I sit with you guys? I'm like, "Yeah, go ahead." And he pulls out a stack of cue cards. He goes, "I have to work dirty tonight. I don't work dirty." So for the next 4 hours on my cruise, I'm helping him.
You were helping him write dirty jokes with your son there.
Yeah,
Hey, Dad, what about this one?
it was funny because he did one powerhouse joke, and I forgot what it was. But I feel like I'm bragging. I'm not.
No.
But he goes, "Okay, that wasn't my joke. That was Rich Walker, the comedian, sitting right there, and I had to stand up in the audience
so that people could clap for you and go like this." That's awesome.
It was so corny. I go, "Don't ever do that to me again."
Oh my God.
Well, that's a guy that felt uncomfortable doing that material because it's not what he normally does. So I'm going to shift some of the blame to that guy that's sitting
Yes,
right there.
Yeah, right.
That's what. Hey, if you guys are offended, that's the guy that wrote it right there.
So blame him. Did you ever have to work in front of a comic that comes with like his family and sits in the audience, like right in front of you?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's weird, right? Like, you're auditioning for that comic.
Yeah, for that comic and his family.
Yeah.
Because they almost don't want to laugh too hard at you
because they're there for
they don't want to
family
insult
member.
him.
Yeah.
Because they're there to support him.
Unless you get that one sister who's like, "You were funny, but that other guy, Rich, was really funny."
I actually was in a contest one time where a guy brought half the crowd. And I won my night, one of the preliminaries, and he asked a bunch of his friends, "Did you guys vote for me?" And a bunch of them said, "Well, I voted for that other guy because he was really funny."
We voted for you second.
That's
awesome.
And he was so mad.
They were good too.
Yeah, I'm good.
Is there anything worse than two? The word two, like when they're walking out of the show and they go to the headliner. "Oh, you were great," and then they go to the feature. "Oh, you were absolutely hilarious." And then they look at the host, "And you were good too."
Yeah, you were good too.
I talk about that in my act. How people say weird things. That's one of them. But I go through a list, and I love this guy that comes up to you after the show. And he comes up to you when you're by the door, and he goes, "Hey, I thought you were funny."
Like nobody else did.
I actually did a nursing home, and a woman. She was 95 years old,
Oh,
and
God.
I was the surprise in the nursing home. She thought she was getting a stripper. She didn't know. So she was disappointed on two different levels.
Yeah, right.
Now, I'm doing this. By that time, I'm doing it like 23 years, working hard on our craft. And
Yeah.
she comes up to me after the show and she goes, "You'll find something."
Oh,
Maybe
maybe
she thought she was talking to the stripper.
Yeah.
In all fairness.
Yeah, maybe she.
In
thought,
all
you know,
fairness,
you'll
Rich.
find something. Meaning maybe her roommate. For the audience who's only listening to this, Rich just picked up a notebook and a pen and started taking notes.
I'm just saying. She thought she was
That's awesome.
I like that. Did I try that? I want to try.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go up there and go, "That was my friend Ace Aceto's joke."
Yeah, yeah, right.
Yeah. If it bombs,
It's Ace Aceto.
Ace, wherever you are, stand up.
Yeah, right.
Please stand up wherever you are.
Yeah, he's going to invite me on the cruise just for that.
I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Because it's on that subject. You before the show, remember you were telling me you like horror stories?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever work with a guy named Tommy Dernan in Jersey?
I know Tommy Dernan.
You know him?
I haven't.
Yeah.
Tommy Dernan used to be a fireman, and he's deaf
Yep.
in one ear, he's blind in one eye. So I go see him one night, and he's doing another comics joke. But after the joke, he goes, "That's my good friend Peter Bales' joke. He's really funny. You got to see him do it. It's great." Then he does another joke. He goes, "That's my good friend, Bill Morrison's joke, but you got to see him do it. It's really, really funny." And I'm like, he's doing other people's bits, but he's giving them
giving him credit.
which is the funniest thing I've ever seen. So now he's going to bring me up, and I'm standing on the side. He goes, "Oh, our next comic coming to the stage. He's funny, this guy." And he does a bit about a designated driver. He goes, "I'm going to do it now for you."
Oh my
And then you're
God.
gonna hear his version after.
No.
And I'm mortified. I am dying. And he goes,
Right.
"Relax, Rich. I'm only fucking with you."
That's awesome.
But he's the nicest guy in the whole world. And maybe I'd be honored if he did my bit in Jersey.
Right,
but I
right.
wasn't there.
Well, at
I
least
had-
he gave them credit.
I was just
though.
gonna say, I got
Yeah.
how many, at least he's giving him credit. There was a guy in Boston one
Yeah.
time. I was doing
Oh.
I was doing a show. No, not the one you're
Oh,
thinking
this
of.
isn't
that had the-
DK.
no, that had
Oh,
all the
alright.
controversy.
Yeah.
There was another guy I was working with, and he was doing a bunch of jokes that other guys had done, but not giving them credit. And I was
Yeah.
working, and the headliner was Greg Fitzsimmons.
Mm.
And
Love Greg
I
Fitzsimmons.
love Greg, and I'm sitting in the back with Greg, and I sit there, and Greg says, "What do you think of him?" And I don't know if Greg knows the guy that we're on the show with or not. So it's like, I'm like, he's getting a lot of laughs. He goes, "Well, he's a good cover act."
Yeah.
That's great.
And I just busted out laughing because I had never heard someone call another comic a cover act before.
Yeah.
There's
Hold on.
a famous story in Boston about there was a guy that all of a sudden he went within 18 months to 2 years to headlining these shows. And, there was rumors of him taking, material. And then he was doing a show in Rhode Island, a solo show. And there's a comedian in Rhode Island that we know, PJ Thibodeau, snuck in to see him. And this guy did 20 minutes of like
Don
Gavin's material,
Tony
20
V.
minutes of Tony V's material,
Yeah.
20 minutes of Kevin Knox's material and everything. And then word got back to all these guys that this guy's literally verbatim doing
your
material. And
Wow.
he was this kid was doing a spot at the
Connection
Connection in Boston,
in Boston. Yeah.
on a Tuesday night, and all of those guys were waiting for him in the green room when he got there.
Yep.
And let's just say it got physical,
He's
and
still,
it made the Boston Globe the next day.
yeah, and he's still
Wow.
doing comedy, but he's doing it out in the West Coast.
Yeah, he moved to the West Coast right after.
And now he
Probably
only does East Coast comics material.
Yeah.
Probably.
Exactly.
He
Yeah.
probably still does all the same material, but
Once you're a thief, you're there.
You're going to be a thief. Exactly. Yeah. And it sucks too because he had great stage presence, but he just wasn't writing his own stuff. He was just taking other people's stuff, and that's just you don't do that.
And meanwhile, if I do a joke, and then
remotely close to,
and then all of a sudden I hear somebody that's been around longer than me or is known more than me do something that sounds familiar to it, I'll just stop doing it.
Yeah,
because I'm like, well, they got more cred than I do. I'm just not going to do that joke anymore.
I'll just stop doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you missed what I said. I said I'll just stop doing it in front of them.
Oh, in front of them. Those Long Island guys with the shit under their breath. He's like an Al Romas.
Yes, exactly. We always miss it. I know. You talked about guys arguing over a joke. Bobcat Goldthwait told a hilarious story.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
Who did that?
That's Ace.
That was great.
Oh, that's one of his better impressions.
Oh my God. That sounds just like him. I thought you were going to go Rich, and here he is now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we have Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah, Gilbert.
Too.
Do you want to join in?
Oh my God, we've got Rich Walker on the show tonight. It's a fucking amazing show. You got to listen.
Wow.
That's what I do.
You stole their material.
I did. I stole.
No, but see, Rich, if you do it in their voice,
it's different.
It's different.
Yes.
You're paying homage to them.
I'm going to let you finish, but then I also got a Gilbert story about Affleck.
All right. Yeah. Yes, I want to hear it.
But anyway, Bobcat told this hilarious story about, he goes, it's early in my Boston days, and I go to an open mic one night to work on some material. And as I walk in, these two guys are arguing over this joke. All right, dude, you got to cut it out because I say E.T. looks like a turd, and then you say E.T. looks like a shit. And that's the same joke, and you're just taking that joke from me. He goes, they're arguing over this horrible, terrible joke,
right?
that no one cares about.
That neither should be doing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So what were you going to say about Gilbert?
I worked with Gilbert at Governor's in Levittown, and we're in the green room. He's very, you met him, right?
I haven't met him. Believe it or not, I've been doing an impression of him for 32 years.
He's not what you
never
see.
met him, but I heard that he's just kind of standoffish and a little quirky.
Yeah, he's just very to himself. You see him thinking to himself. And if you have a conversation with him, he'll open up. Like I said, I love this. There's a deli next door. I love if I work here during the day, like for a camp show or whatever. I said, they make the best breakfast at that deli. And he goes, all of a sudden he looks up and goes, don't you love bacon? Because I could eat bacon on everything. But that was the whole conversation for about 20 minutes was bacon.
It was just about bacon. Yeah.
He never said two words to me the whole time,
Yeah.
But I got into conversation with him because just around that time, before that, do you remember they fired him from Affleck?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he goes,
about Japan, the tsunami, right?
That's right. He made the tsunami joke about Godzilla or something.
Godzilla, but then he said something. He said,
do the joke, Ace.
My girlfriend broke up with me the other day, but like they say in Japan, that's okay. Another one will come floating by any minute.
That supposedly is the joke that he got fired for. I don't know how true it is.
So
that's even better as Gilbert.
My story isn't half as good as that impression. So I said to him, what happened with Affleck? And he looks up and he goes, you want to know what happened with Affleck? He goes, I had no contract with them. I had nothing. There was nothing on paper. They just called me up and said, do you want to come do a voiceover and do this duck, for Affleck? So he goes, I went and I did it and they loved it. Affleck, that was it. That was the whole gig. He goes, but they would have me come back to redo the same Affleck
thing. They couldn't even reuse the voice that he did the first time.
Goes, they were so odd, those people. At the insurance company or the agency for them. So he says, then the tsunami joke, and they stopped altogether. I never heard back. They never called me again. It was like zero. He says, but how weird the story is they got a guy to replace me doing my voice.
Doing his voice, right. Exactly.
So people still thought it was Gilbert Gottfried, but it was another guy. He goes, why do the same voice? You're going to change the actors.
Right.
And he goes, it was so weird, but he didn't care. Like,
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know,
whatever.
he must be getting so many residuals from Disney, and I mean, he's the voice. He's one of the voices in the Tiki Bird room, isn't he?
Well, they put his character Yago from Aladdin in the Tiki room.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
scary, you know the character's name.
Iago.
Oh,
yeah,
come
of
on.
course,
Aladdin
come on.
is a classic.
Right, Aladdin.
That's from Aladdin.
If this yacht throws one more cracker down my throat, I'm gonna puke.
Isn't that fantastic?
It's like unbelievable. It sounds
Yeah.
exactly like him.
Oh, it's
Thank you very much. I've been working at it for a very long time.
It's the grovel.
yes. The
groveliness
tone,
in
the
it
the graveliness of it,
I'm
the
trying,
cadence.
yes, and I'm trying not to yell in the microphone, but it's not working.
How who else can you give me one more of somebody else? Who else can?
Who else?
Well, you did Bobcat.
I did Bobcat. I do a lot of cartoons.
Yeah, he does Family Guy voices.
Oh, wow.
Peter Griffin.
Yeah. Oh, we're talking to Rich Walker today, and we're on Peter and Rich. It's the Peter and Rich show.
Did you bring Stewie with you?
Oh, hey there, Rich. How's it going? What's going on? Oh, how's that book deal coming, huh? You got a whole outline there? Yeah, a little protagonist, a little conflict resolution at the end. Tie it all up in a bow. Everyone's better for it.
All right. Quagmire's going to babysit you now.
Gator you.
Someone said I look like Quagmire. That is
No,
I don't see that.
You don't look like Quagmire.
that is amazing, Ace.
Maybe Cleveland a little bit. That's
Now,
just
do you do
nasty.
them in the
That's just
show?
nasty.
Yeah. I do. Well, I don't think I did the Family Guy in the church show because it's a bit of a dirtier joke.
You can't just clean it?
Well, no, because the context is I do a joke where I say I used to be a pharmaceutical rep and I sold Valtrex, which is for herpes. And I was like, why?
Kind of hard to clean up a herpes joke.
Why
for a
are we?
church crowd.
Why are we doing stupid herpes commercials when we could just write to, like, I'm from Rhode Island. Danny Smith and Seth MacFarlane, the creators of Family Guy, are from Rhode Island. Why don't we write to them and see if they'll do an episode of Family Guy that deals with Valtrex and herpes? And so I do the whole,
He does a mini-sode.
I do a mini-sode of them.
That
A Family Guy dealing
I
with
gotta
herpes.
see it. I gotta work with you guys.
I'd
definitely
love to.
soon.
Yeah, we definitely got to get you to get out
But
this
Ace,
way.
when you do that bit, the people in the audience, you look out and they're like this.
Half the crowd is looking at me like, what is he talking about? I don't know what that is. And the other half that actually watches Family Guy are laughing their asses off.
It depends on the crowd. If it's a crowd that is our age or younger, nails it every time.
Yeah.
If
they're older,
if we're doing a fundraiser or a crowd that's older, you know it's mixed.
I ask the crowd, I say, how many people are Family Guy fans? And if not a lot of people raise their hand, I'll go, all right, guys, it's been on for 20 something years. I'll give you some homework so you know what the fuck I'm talking about after. It's crazy.
No, but you know what? He also does. Remember the show Davy and Goliath?
Oh,
I did that at the
wouldn't be
church
the right-
show.
the
he
dog.
does-
Yeah, the
yes,
dog, yeah.
yes, he does. He talks about that. Now, if it's an older crowd,
They get that.
They get that instantly.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
gonna kill.
I get down on hands and knees and I go, hey, Davey. Then they get it.
yeah.
That one they get.
That wouldn't be the honest thing to do.
No. Hey, Davey, how are we gonna get home? The boat was stuck up on the beach. I'm like, it's a 4-foot fucking rowboat. You're gonna wait.
That was the first time I ever saw a black cop
yeah, yes.
on that.
Yeah. We had that was actually that was a lot of multiracial like
Yeah.
characters on that
For
show.
a church show,
Yeah,
that's odd, right? Like back then they were progressive, actually.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't remember that. I used to watch that show. but
Black
I don't
Cop?
remember- I remember the
And their lips used to like
I remember the
Dad.
the black mail carrier on Mr. Rogers.
That was Mr. Rogers.
On
Yeah.
Mis-
oh
that-
yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
They
So
even talk about him.
I do
Go
that. I do Davy and Goliath. I do Elmo.
Yeah.
I do Elmo selling Valtrex.
What does he say?
How did this turn into me doing my act for Rich?
Well, you
I'm
but
like-
but you don't do your impressions like the old Frank Gorshin with like. Well, can you imagine Elmo selling Valtrex? Hold on.
Yeah,
And
right.
you turn
Yeah,
around and
I
you
don't
turn back
turn
around as
around.
Elmo.
No, I don't turn around and come back to Elmo. I'm like,
Basically, if I may, sir,
ahead.
it's your joke. The Valtrex, he talks about how they, pitch it to older people. If you want to, keep people from getting herpes, you got to sell it to a younger crowd. So talk to teenagers, Family Guy. Well, maybe we need to go younger, and then he keeps going backwards, so you get to Elmo talking to little kids.
and I go,
La 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 la. Elmo's world. Elmo has a secret, and he doesn't want to tell his friend Zoe. Can you say asymptomatic viral shedding? It doesn't tickle. I know. Let's ask Mr. Noodle. That's why they call him Mr. Noodle. That's Elmo's world.
all right, that's it. Thank you.
Nobody could follow you after that. Not even at a church show.
Not even at a church show. I know.
You must have done some of these because that's what made it so hard.
I did do some of them. I definitely didn't do the Valtrex commercial. I think I ended
Probably
on,
Davey and
for
Goliath.
that one. I think I ended
Probably
on
Davey and
Davey and
There's
Goliath.
a-
We
Yeah.
put together he's been working on doing some voiceover work. So we spent some time in the studio putting together a voice reel for him, and we were trying to go through all his different impressions. And what was fun was him like, well, I've been kind of working on this one, and he was doing a few that he hadn't quite perfected yet, and we're trying to think of like crazy scenarios to put these people in, and it was so much fun just letting our creative juices flow. Like we had Ray Romano, like how uncomfortable he is when he accepts awards. And we're like where would he be accepting an award that would make him uncomfortable? So we put the scenario was he would walk out on stage and he's like, and I'm not going to try to do the voice because he does a voice, and we wouldn't reveal what the award is till the end. And at the end, do you remember the speech?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
Go
like,
ahead.
Oh, Jesus, look at this. This is awesome. I can't believe I won this. This is fantastic. You guys, you're making me feel so good. I can't believe it. I can't believe I won first prize for my pig. This is awesome. 4-H. You guys are the best. You're the best.
That's great.
we had 1 week where we didn't have a guest, and we spent all night just doing that shit.
it was,
and
I
I had
voices in my head.
I wish
He
I was there.
He was literally, he
God.
was like, don't you do Scooby-Doo and Shaggy?
Yeah. Okay. Let's have Scooby and Shaggy doing this. And I'm just throwing ideas at him and letting him just run with the voices. And we just spent hours just playing like
Just
that. And it was so
goofing
much
around.
fun.
You have it. You should get that on YouTube. Go ahead, do it.
Like, zoink, Scoob, we gotta get out of here.
Rocky Raggy.
That's what we.
Yes.
That's all we
It's
did.
amazing.
Yeah,
It's
it was-
ama-
it was fun. It was fun.
I want to say there's a comic on Long Island. Do you know John Santo?
No.
He
John
does all
Santo.
the celebrities
Yep.
on Viagra. But
That's
do
awesome.
you do Adam Sandler? He does Adam Sandler.
I've
on
worked
Viagra?
on it. I it's not one of my best, but I think if
Yeah.
I worked on it,
I think I could do a little bit of Adam Sandler if I really tried.
Zippity-doo.
Some high quality.
That's some high quality H2O.
yeah, I think
He-
I do like
That is
a
great.
caricature of Adam.
He does the
Sandler.
other Adam Sandler though. He does the one. He goes on Viagra. He
yeah.
goes, Viagra for me, Viagra for you.
Oh yeah.
He goes, wait. He goes, Viagra for you, Viagra for me, Viagra for your soft pee-pee. You
That's
should have him
awesome.
on and do
We'll
dueling
definitely
characters.
We'll do dueling characters. Yeah,
Oh.
absolutely.
And he's a great guy. He's really nice, you know.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get a list of like Long Island comics because we're always looking for new.
Yeah,
new
I
guests.
used to come out and do my impressions too.
Yeah.
But I give the audience an option. name any. Give me a male though. Anybody. And here's my impressions. Go. Who do you want? Anybody.
Bill Clinton.
Good. Bill Clinton. I turn around. I go, okay, a lot of people think he was a great president. He's had a good run, 8 years, very, very strong.
Your
He had some
impression of Bill
problems.
Clinton.
That's my impression of Bill Clinton. But now I go, anybody else? Anybody? And they're actually yelling out other
yelling out
people's
more
names.
people.
They're so stupid.
it. Because they don't
They don't get, and then I do, it could be anybody,
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers, and I'll do it.
Abraham Lincoln. He was
Abraham
a great
Lincoln.
president, but
He's a great president, one of the best. And then, but like I did it way out in the island, like in like Yaphank with it, not the highest of class,
Uh-huh.
And I'm not making it up. I'm about 8 people in.
Oh my
And
God.
They still
The
don't get it.
woman sitting up front turns to the friend. I could hear her. She goes, "He don't sound like any of them."
That's awesome. Oh my God.
I
don't know.
forgot who the comedian was that he'd go, I'm amazing with impressions. Just yell out anybody and I can do the impression. And they'll yell out Christopher Walken. He'll go, Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
he'll name somebody that they didn't say and just do the impression.
Oh, that's great.
And then
Yeah.
he'll go name another one, and they'll go Sean Connery, and he'll go I heard Michael Keaton, and he'll
Yeah.
just do another, and he just keeps doing every impression that they didn't say the entire time.
Right,
It's
right.
it's
Awesome.
so funny.
That's
It's
hilarious.
Who
so
is this comic? I think he might have been Connecticut when I first started, and I saw this guy. I don't remember his name, but he did a bit that was so funny. He goes, "What's your name, sir?" And the guy will go, "Joe." He goes, "That's unbelievable." He goes, "My father's name is Joe, and he owns a restaurant, Italian restaurant called Eat This." But now, 10 minutes in the act, he goes, "How you doing? What's your name?" And the guy goes, "Phil." And he goes, "Wow, it's funny." He goes, "My brother's name is Phil, and he has a computer repair company, and it's called Bite This." But now his closing bit, he goes on, he goes, "What's your name, sir?" And the guy goes, "Tim." And he goes, "It's unbelievable." He goes, my cousin's name is Tim, and he has a vacuum cleaner repair service, and it's called," and the whole audience yells, "Suck this."
Yeah.
And he goes, "No, Tim's Vacuum Cleaner and Repair Service." What's wrong with you people? Like that. I never forgot it because
That's awesome.
it was 100% of the audience said, "Suck this." And he goes, "No."
That's a great joke. That's an awesome joke.
Yeah.
I love that.
Now,
Yeah, it's funny.
unfortunately, though, you didn't even give the guy credit because you don't remember who he was. So
don't
unlike your
remember.
friend who does everyone else's joke, you're doing the guy's joke, but you're not even saying who it is.
Why give his name? I just got a big laugh.
Thank you. Hello.
Now you sound like every comic that talks and does shit, does other people.
I never
shit.
said I wasn't every comic. No.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh my God.
You guys just built me up way too much.
Yeah, no. Yeah, hey, listen, you're what is it? What's the number? 29.
I still have it right here.
9,647.
9,647.
That's
Are you
awesome.
looking at a business card or is that on my?
That's on your website.
Your website?
Wow, I haven't even looked at that in like 10 years.
Yeah, I haven't looked at mine in a while either.
I wonder,
It's funny,
still
funny you say
active?
that because I typed in mine today, and it's yours is richwalkerlive.com for anybody
Right.
checking it out. Mine's scotthigginslive.com, and I went on mine today, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even know that picture was on there. I haven't been
Isn't that
on
funny?
it in forever.
Now, did you steal the live from me?
Yeah, I think
ac-
it was.
No, actually,
I'm
it was
kidding.
Andrew Kennedy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he got it from me, Andrew Kennedy.
Andrew Kennedy's was Andrew Kennedy Live, and I built my website shortly after I worked with him for the first time. And I went to ScottHiggins.com, and it was a gay artist in upstate New York that
Right.
had ScottHiggins.com. And true story, after I finally built my website, ScottHigginsLive.com, I tell my parents, and my mother calls me up and
went to scotthiggins.com.
Yes, and she goes, I don't know what to say.
I didn't know you were doing that kind of art.
I went to your website, and I know you're a comedian, but I don't know if you're trying to tell us something or if that's a joke. If it is, I don't get it. And she's like all concerned. I like, Mom, what are you talking about? She goes, are you really an artist? Because some of that art was a little strange. And I'm like, where did you go? And she tells me scotthiggins.com. I'm like, that's not my site. Yeah, she was looking at this gay artist.
You know what you
website.
should have said? You should have said, no, my website is actually robertmaplethorpe.com. That would have been funnier.
Why? What is that?
You don't remember Robert Mapplethorpe?
How do you not remember him?
He was an actor. I mean, not an actor. He was an artist that like got into all kinds of trouble because he was actually painting with shit.
Oh, that's right. I'm like, why do I know that name?
It was Robert Mapplethorpe.
He's just trying to express
himself.
And shit. Yeah, it was like E.T.
He did paintings of E.T.
Did paintings of E.T. and shit.
If you said a turd instead of shit, I would have known.
Shit.
Well, you said shit. I say turd.
I didn't use turd.
Yeah, you should have said turd. It's not
You
as
guys
funny
look
that
like
way.
Wayne's World.
Yeah, I know. We feel like it.
Do you ever hear that? You must hear it all the time.
Party on, Wayne.
Party on, Garth.
Excellent.
Excellent.
That's great. They even made a comeback.
I
with
know.
the commercials, right?
Yeah, with that commercial. Yeah, with the Super Bowl commercials with the local eat local.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And it was one of the better commercials.
It actually was. Yeah, this year.
They're pretty good. They're pretty funny.
Yeah, they got a future. I think they might be able to get on SNL.
Yeah.
They should
And
try out. They should audition for
Yeah.
SNL. I bet you they got something there.
Yeah.
Those two guys.
And thank God Dana Carvey, they came through for him.
Yeah.
What's Dana? Can you do Dana Carvey?
No, you know what I could do? I could do Dana Carvey doing George Bush. That's it.
Oh, that's funny.
Do you remember his Ross Perot? Here's
I
the
remember.
deal. You see?
Here's the deal. I got charged
Here's the
back
deal.
here.
You
okay?
can have a chicken plucker or this guy over here. That's who you can
That's
have.
all you got.
That's all you got.
And if you're doing his George Bush, he was like,
No, not gonna do it.
1,000 points a light.
1,000 points a light.
you know, it's
Not
just that's
gonna do it.
some impressions I come up with on my own.
Church
and then
lady?
some-
You could do church lady,
Well,
right?
isn't that special?
Wow.
Who made you do that?
Who made you
Satan?
do that? Satan.
I used to do that. I think I dressed as church lady one Halloween. Yeah, I used to dress as Pee Wee Herman almost every Halloween. I had the gray suit, the whole, all kinds of tricks and stuff. And I was like, I think I need to move on. And I think church lady was the next one.
One Halloween, I took my kids out and I dressed up as Mrs. Doubtfire. I had a full face mask. I had a pillow under this big dress we bought and everything, and we were going from door to door. And we knock on the door, and I'm like, "Oh, that's right, dear. We're here for the trick or treat." Oh, there you go. Look at you, dear. And we had my in-laws with us, and we go to my father-in-law's best friend's house, and he goes, "We're gonna hide around the corner. I want you to knock on the door, and I want you to hit on Rich when he opens the door, because he always gives all the kids in the neighborhood candy." So I knock on the door and he opens the door and I'm like, "Look at you, dear. You're a strapping boy, aren't you, dear?" And he's like, "Yeah, can I help you, ma'am?" And I'm like, "Well, you look at you in those shorts, dear. Those are a wee bit tight, aren't they, dear?" And then finally he's looking close. He goes, "I know you, don't I?" And I revealed who it is. He goes, "You were 30 seconds away from getting punched right in the face. Let me tell you."
That's awesome.
Oh, and we had so much fun that year walking around. I'm yelling at kids that are running up the street too fast and stuff. I just stayed in character the whole night. It was so much fun.
Did you guys meet doing impressions?
Well, we met doing comedy, and when I started, I did impressions, but I don't do good impressions. Like I would have
you did great ones.
Well,
That one's a great one.
That was one of my better ones. I would close my show with Mrs. Doubtfire as a phone sex operator. That's right, dear. Let's look under that kilt and see what you're packing, type of thing. And phone sex is kind of Like people look at you nowadays like,
what's phone sex?
What's phone
yeah,
sex?
right. Yeah.
But
You'd have to do a webcam show.
I could do impressions just good enough that people could tell what they were, but they weren't great.
Yeah.
And then I would do shows with guys like Ace, and there's a couple of other guys like, I opened up for Jim Lauletta, and he would do his Don Knotts as Batman and destroy the room, and I'm like, I can't do his impressions as good as these guys. I actually have to write some material.
Yeah.
So I got away from doing impressions, and I'll do them for like just this theater that I do stuff with, we did these virtual variety shows this year.
Yeah,
There was 1 week I introduced all the acts as a different impression type of thing, and I'll fool around for stuff like that, but when I'm actually performing, I don't really do impressions anymore. And
how about, is this guy still around your area, Mike, the TV guy?
Oh yeah, Mike Pettit.
Mike Pettit, yeah.
Yep.
He did impressions, right? What was it?
He still does.
Yeah, Mike and I actually started around the same time. So back in the day, we were like arch enemies because we were on the same.
Rival.
Yeah, we were on the same scene. We were both open micers. We both did impressions, although we really did kind of different impressions.
Yeah, you don't do a lot of crossover impressions.
No, he did more sports impressions and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
do
yeah.
as many sports. I think the only thing we might have done to that was the same was Dudley Moore as Arthur. I think he did it as well. Way back when.
He did do a really good Ted Knight from Caddyshack.
Yes.
That was one of his best impressions. He'd be like, oh, Danny, you want to mow my lawn?
Yeah.
Okay, Pookie. Okay.
That's good.
He really did that one.
Yeah.
Better
I love
than
Ted
a lot
Knight.
of yeah.
Yeah.
He would do a bunch of different Ted Knight in different scenarios really, really well.
But that's why we always thought of each other as like arch enemies. But the more we got to know each other, the more we realized like we really don't do a lot of crossover impressions.
And you know this, Rich, you're not going to have two impressionists on the same show.
Right.
No.
That's like putting two musical acts on the same show. You don't do that,
you're gonna mix it up a little bit, so I booked some different stuff in Eastern Connecticut. So like when you said, oh, we got to work together, I'm thinking, all right, I got a couple of Bradley shows coming up later this year.
Yeah.
So
Rich would be great. They'd love him at there.
I have a small theater in Eastern Connecticut. It's
Nice.
an old vaudeville theater.
Oh, beautiful.
400 seats. It was restored about 20 years ago to its original vaudeville glory. It's got the horseshoe balcony up above, and then the seats down below. And we're doing a show in June, but it's half capacity because of COVID. Connecticut's still kind of slow to open things up. We're going to try to do 2 shows in the fall. Hopefully they open things back up full.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah, we can do up to 425 seats. The fire code and everything, because we can put some portable seats in there and everything, and we've filled it before.
Well,
we've filled it a few times.
I think what would look great on a poster is appearing live at the Bradley Theater at the 9,647th.
If
biggest
that
name in
doesn't
show
sell
business.
tickets,
I don't
know if they've ever, had that level yet. But
I don't know that we can afford that level.
I don't know.
At our tiny little.
yeah, you probably
theater.
can.
He's like,
You think it's in our wheelhouse, Rich?
yeah, he's like, don't discount anything, okay? Let's not run into hasty judgments.
There's a comic on Long Island, and when I had a room on Long Island, it was a Tuesday night. It was just a bar, and the guy paid $50 a comic. And I go up to this guy, Harry Freeman, Dr. Harry Freeman. I said, Harry, do you think you could do a Tuesday night up in Kings Park? It's a little bar. He goes, I get $5,000 a show, right? And I go, wow. I go, this is $50. And he goes, it's doable.
Holy shit. Like I could see like, hey, I usually get 5,000. I can give you 4,500. Yeah, all right, that's doable.
Yeah. You know what it is? He was he's Dr. Harry Freeman, and he's a professional imposter. So corporations would hire him to come in as like a state legislature, and he'd have a whole speech. Like he came in like as like a county controller or whatever. And he said that we've been watching all you workers, and we know who hasn't been working as hard as they should be. We're not going to say anything to you tonight, but he would make them all shit in their pants,
right,
and then come out clean. He's a comedian,
right,
like,
right.
Thank God, you know.
That was,
I did that.
Was Frank Santarelli the first time I booked him. I said,
why do I
Frank,
know that?
He was in The Sopranos. He's a Boston comedian,
right. Okay.
And I'm like, oh, Frank, I have the show at the Elks Club in my town. It's not a big show. It's about 135 people. They're going to sell out. They do every year. They do an annual comedy night. They would love to have you there. The people on the committee are a huge Sopranos fan. I said, how much would you get for the night? And he says how much he gets, and I'm like, oh, that's out of their budget, unfortunately. He goes, well, how much would they pay? And I said how much, we would have for the headliner, and same thing like you just said. He goes, I think we can work within that.
Exactly.
And I mean, it was about a third of what he originally said. And he came down and did the show. And
but how many times do you give a quote and then someone's like, really? That's all?
Isn't that the worst feeling?
Yeah.
Like a corporate gig or something, and they say, what would you get to come do this corporate gig? And you think you're asking for 4 times as much as you should. Like, and they go, oh, the guy last year was twice that.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then they 1099 you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I did a corporate show for BMW out in Las Vegas, and when I quoted him the price, the guy looked at me and went, and I was
looking at.
Okay, and I said twice the price that I just told him, and he put thumbs up again.
I would have been like,
I like
more.
it.
And so I said the third price, and he went, that's good.
Okay, you got lucky there. I like it when they go. I'm pretty sure I could make that work.
Yeah.
And they're gonna let you know. And meanwhile, as soon as they hang up, they're dying laughing.
Yeah,
in all fairness, I was working for BMW during the day, and I knew this guy, and he said, "Listen, if we don't pay you enough, they won't give us the budget next year."
Right.
So you were more a placeholder for the guy next year.
So they had to make it seem like they were spending all the money.
Right.
So they had the same budget the next year for somebody.
Exactly.
So, it was well worth it.
So
I like BMWs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't own one.
Yeah. He doesn't own one.
I don't own one. I can't afford one.
He gets a loaner. So we talked about like fun moments and wow moments and stuff like that. We always like to end the show by asking our guest about a funny bad gig moment. And that's the gig that, like, it wasn't funny the night of, it was just a bad gig. And then the further you get away from it, you're backstage like a month later and everyone's telling war stories about this shit gig that they did. And you're like, oh, you think that's bad? Hold my beer.
Your one-up story.
You want one from me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't have a lot.
Someone from another person. He showed. Now that's preparation.
That was
my
a
friend.
That wasn't a note. That was a scroll.
That was a scroll. You had to unscroll it.
That was like the Dead Sea Scrolls.
What were you playing Egypt last month?
The Lord Jehovah gave us these 15.
Well, I'm new. I'm new in hieroglyphics, so. Okay, great hell gig story. Did you ever work? This was Bananas up in Poughkeepsie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm there with Paul Bond. I don't know if you know Paul Bond.
I have been friends with Paul Bond for years.
Okay, so I'm up now. He may tell the same story, but he goes up on stage. Now I was before Paul. I was the featured act before Paul.
Yep.
Paul goes up and he hits it's crowded. The whole room is crowded. And he hits his first chord and he starts to play, like the first verse in the song. And there's a guy sitting up front and he's leaning into his table, talking. And Paul goes, "Excuse me, sir." He goes, I'm trying to work here. Could you just keep it down? I appreciate it, because it's very difficult. And the guy goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Please, I'm so sorry." So Paul picks up the guitar again and he starts playing. And 2 seconds in, the guy's talking to his neighbors and he starts the conversation again. So this went on and Paul goes, "Sir, dude, you got to give me a break up here because I can't hear myself play music. I'm playing music and you keep talking. You're killing it for me. I can't even think straight. So he goes, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So sorry. So Paul Bond hits the first kick and the guy goes, starts talking. And Paul Bond puts the guitar down and goes, get up, out. You got to go. You got to go. They're not going to police the room. I'm policing the room. Get out. And he goes, I'm sorry. Is this your wife? I'm so sorry. You got to go too. Both out. Tape out. And then there's another couple getting up with them. And he goes, I'm so sorry. You're with them? You got out. Everybody out. 4 people getting up, going to the lobby. Well, just then, 40 people get up. It was a Christmas party. And they leave the whole center of the club empty. And the next day, the owner of the club, what's his name? Harlan, loses his shit because they had to refund all the money from that party.
Yeah.
And somehow somebody got to Harlan before I did because somebody still works those gigs and I don't. So
really?
I'm like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. Like I didn't do it. It wasn't me, you know.
Wow.
But Harlan somehow thought that I got him riled up. I didn't
you
get
were
him
the one
riled
that
up.
did it? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So
that sucks.
I never worked for them since. Not even would they answer an email. So
well, I hope they're one of the
people
people
for me.
Yeah, I hope they're one of the people watching this fucking episode right now.
I had a similar situation. I won't tell the whole story of mistaken identity where the host was so drunk by the second show he couldn't stand on stage. He was using the mic stand to keep himself from falling off the stage. And he was on stage like, and it literally, he's looking at the table in the front of these women going, I know one of you wants to fuck me. You want to fuck me, don't you? You want to fuck me. And he did that for 20 minutes. And
what happened?
About a month later, I get a phone call from the booker who says, yeah, I can't book you anymore because they said you were so drunk you couldn't perform. And I tried to explain to him and he goes, no, they were sure it's you. And it got to the point where I had to tell the host that you either fix this or I'm going to kick the shit out of you. And I'm not just going to go to your house. I'm going to show up where you're performing sometime and kick the shit out of you on stage in front of everybody in the room. Wow. And I
won't be drunk.
I said, and I don't give a fuck if I get arrested. I'm going to kick the shit out of you on stage in front of every person in that room if you don't fix this. Wow. And you know what? This guy was impressive because he not only fixed it and got me back in that place, he kept himself in that place too.
Wow.
So yeah, he did the right thing. So yeah, that is horrible when that happens, when it's not you, but they think it's you. That's horrible.
That's the worst. You ever have them come up and they love your bit that you did, but it wasn't yours, it was the other comics?
What are you going to do? They had a good time, so you go, thanks.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
You. We had, do you know Rick D'Elia?
No.
Rick D'Elia is a Boston comic, but he's been living out in Nevada for years, and he's been doing like Vegas, and he was telling us about this time where he did this gig
at a casino. There was absolutely no one in the room. And he's like to the waitress, he's like, all right, I don't know what to do. Like, she's like, well, just start the show. He's like, but there's no one here. She goes, well, just do the show. And people walking by might come in. So he literally was like doing his show, but then he's like, all right, this is fucking ridiculous. He's reading out of the newspaper.
He's reading the sports pages out of the newspaper and stuff. Right. So then what was it? The next day, or the guy that booked him the next day? The guy that booked it called
his manager and said how unprofessional he was, terrible he was.
Yeah.
He'll never work there again.
So 10 years later, he gets the money, but 10 years later, he works the casino and his manager's like, yeah, they want, I want to send you there. He goes, I don't want to go back there. That was a horrible gig. I'm banned from there. He goes, they won't remember. He goes, he does the show, and the booker comes up to him.
Same booker.
10 years later, Booker comes up to him and goes, wow. He goes, you were fucking hilarious, man. We had a guy here about 10 years ago. Didn't do any material, read out of the newspaper. He was fucking horrible. Like, you were hilarious. And Rick was like, dude, that was me 10 years ago. There was no audience. And he goes, no, that wasn't you. This guy, you're funny. This guy was horrible.
The guy was like,
guy was
I'd
arguing
remember
with
if that. I'd remember if that was you. That definitely wasn't you.
Wouldn't it be funny if he went, "That was you? Get out!"
Yeah. I ain't paying you. I know.
I've been waiting 10 years for this. Get the fuck out.
How dare you step back in here again?
Exactly.
I did an Indian casino up in Mohegan
Really?
Sun, up
Indians
in
have
Monticello.
casinos?
Yeah, you have them all by you, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's all
on
we
every
have.
corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do it, and it's a full room, but the guy goes up and makes an announcement in the middle of the show, and he goes, "Oh, just before we go on with the next act, he goes, how did you guys find out about this show?" Now, on each side of the stage, you ever see those lanterns that are flames, but it's like
It looks
it's just
like an old street light, like from
Is it cloth that's waving
It's
with
cloth.
light on it?
and it's like waving. It's got a light bulb
Pirates,
underneath
yeah,
it,
yeah,
and it
it's
looks like a
Pirates
flame.
of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
like this. So they're on both sides of the stage, and they're going, they're nonstop, the whole thing. Like, they don't stop. You can feel the wind off of these things. So, but he goes up and he goes, "Is anybody, did you see the signs in the lobby?" And everyone's like, "No, just, did you get the flyers in your rooms that there was a comedy show?" And it's full house. And you go, "No." He goes, "Did anybody see the advertisements on TV that we put out?" "No, we don't say anything." Because who saw the signs in the elevators tonight and the lobbies? "No, we didn't see." So how the fuck did you? He can't understand it. So he goes, "All right, we'll bring up on next night." He brings me up, and I go, How dumb is that guy? He doesn't know. It was the smoke signals. Because it's an Indian casino. You had to be there. It was funny.
Did the crowd like that joke?
Yes.
Oh,
okay.
okay,
It was-
okay.
Of course, we know how you found out. Smoke signals.
Smoke signals. That's
But-
awesome. Oh my
I
god.
don't know. I'm going to use
Booker was
that
like,
out by
we
you.
don't like them joke.
No, like I'm joke.
I want to perform one day at that Foxwood. Do you guys perform there?
I used to when
Yeah.
comics was at Foxwoods. I used
Oh.
to work there 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And then comics moved over to Mohegan Sun, and there's no comedy club there. There's
They just have the Fox Theater. So
right.
it's like
Oh.
Jim Gaffigan,
Jim Norton, Bill Burr.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
people above our pay grade that get booked there. now,
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
The ones, the casino actually feels a dent when they have to pay them.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They'd
Yeah.
love to
That's-
have us there because
But now comics moved over to Mohegan, right?
Mohegan,
Yes.
yeah.
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 That I
and-
used to do when it was Brad Axelrod's.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I-
he used to book the Cabaret Theater
Right.
in
Which is
there, because I've done a few fundraisers in the Cabaret Theater, and it's a great setup in there. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful setup.
Yeah.
But they're not in there. They have their own space. Set up, and they built it now. It's called Comics Roadhouse because they have a Roadhouse bar where they have live bands, and then they have the comedy room
Yeah.
on the other
Right.
side. So yeah, totally set up, and then they have the big arena there, and that's
Right,
why
that's
why
huge.
they moved over there is because Mohegan Sun has the arena that's pulling in huge bands and stuff like that. So they're pulling in bigger crowds and stuff. So. It's
The night
it's
I was
totally
there,
different setup.
it was who was the one married to Whitney Houston? Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown.
And you go through the concierge thing there,
Yeah.
and you wait on a little line of like 5 people. In front of me was Bobby Brown and like his prostitute girlfriend.
Yeah.
And Bobby
It's a terrible
Brown.
thing to call Whitney.
No, she was dead.
Oh, she was already.
Yeah.
She was dead.
Oh, thank God. No, she was dead. So, but Bobby Brown, the concierge says you owe $685 for the thing in the room. He goes, "Hey," they said you had people in the room. He goes, "That wasn't me. I had people in the room." This is going on in front of the whole line, He goes, "That wasn't me." He goes, "They were drinking that. I didn't drink that." And they're like, "Yeah, but you're responsible. It's your room."
Right.
And he's like, "I ain't paying. I didn't have any of that." Like, he's a big name. He was in the big theater. You know what I mean?
Right.
And 2 of the biggest dudes you ever seen come out of the back behind that wall. and he goes, I guess I could pay it. You know,
they're not playing.
I see your side of the story now.
now I understand.
Yeah.
We don't want no problem.
Y'all make a valid point.
Yeah, I see your point.
Y'all
point.
make a valid point.
It is so funny.
Oh my
Isn't it
God.
amazing? Every gig is so different.
Oh,
Like with their
absolutely.
own set of problems, you know,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
it's amazing. You never know what you're going to walk into.
Did you
No.
ever do the Lake Ontario Playhouse?
No.
Upstate New York. Now, because I'm thinking, you know, when I did comics, Foxwoods, and even Mohegan Sun, you get a room,
Yeah.
and their hotels there are beautiful, gorgeous hotels. You get a really nice room. They give you tickets for meals, so they take care of you. You know, you're
Yeah.
really well taken care of.
Lake
Then-
Ontario.
He's writing it down.
It's not there.
I just
anymore.
did this show to get a lot of leads.
Yeah, he's spinning on the scroll.
Well, it's not there anymore, Rich. Unfortunately.
Oh,
Oh,
So
snap.
I get booked at the Lake Ontario Playhouse with a friend
Yeah.
of mine. She's headlining. I'm opening up for her. And
Yeah.
they said, oh, you get a room. Well, getting a room, you know, is a very vague term.
yeah.
There's two rooms above the theater, the headliner room and the non-headliner room.
Yeah.
The 9-headliner room, they forgot to put sheetrock on the walls. So you basically saw the studs and the nails coming through. And you had now this was in 2011, and you had a
Yeah.
black and white TV with rabbit ears, and you had to walk down a hallway with also unfinished walls to a
Right.
bathroom at the end of the hallway, no heat. And we got booked in March. So
Yeah.
it's not real warm upstate New York in March.
No.
Yeah. The headliner's room is slightly better. It's got its own bathroom connected to the room, and it has actual sheetrock on the walls.
Right.
But the day before we're gonna leave, the headliner
Right.
calls me and she goes, "You all set for tomorrow?" Yep. She goes, either bring your own sheets and blankets or bring a sleeping bag. I'm like, "Excuse me?" She goes, "Yeah, I don't think they launder, you know, the bedding there."
Yeah.
So that was that place. And then literally 3 weeks later, I'm doing a weekend with Gary Valentine
Yeah.
at Foxwoods, doing you know, comics there, and I get a room that is a beautiful room.
Oh, yeah. They put
in-
you up in a nice room as
in the
feature.
Foxwoods Grand Hotel.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, what a
Night and day.
both shows.
Yeah.
I'm doing 25 minutes. I'm getting, you know, everything else now in Lake Ontario. And someone else told the same story. Gene Trifolo.
Yeah.
The Lake Ontario Playhouse, by the way, great shows, awesome crowds. It's all mostly soldiers that are either coming or going to Afghanistan and Iraq.
Wow.
And they're such an appreciative audience, and they were fantastic. But they have a restaurant there, and the food looked fantastic. Because we weren't allowed to have any of
is
it.
that the one they gave you the Subway card?
Yes, they
Yeah.
gave you a $5 gift card to Subway
Across the street.
across the
Closes
street
at 9
that-
before the show
that
begins.
closed by the time you got out of the show. But it was $5.
Yeah.
Which didn't even cover the entire cost of a foot-long sub on a weekend night.
Right.
That
type of
sounds horrific. And that was which?
That was Lake Ontario.
Yeah, look at
Lake-
who books that?
But again, the show
We say that all the time. Who
the
books that?
show itself, fantastic,
Yeah.
incredible amounts of fun. The pay was actually decent, but the room and the accommodations was horrible. And then 2 weeks later, here you are in this beautiful hotel room in this
In a
casino.
casino, beautiful.
And then 3 weeks later, I'm doing a bar gig in Providence
Yeah.
where you're standing on basically an old, you know, piece of milk crates with wood on top of it in front of the cigarette machine. You know, it's just, you don't know what you're going to walk into from week to week.
But you
Isn't
don't
it-
know, like that, the cigarette machine gig could be
Could
like,
be the greatest gig ever.
yeah.
right.
But it wasn't,
It
by
wasn't.
the way.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It wasn't, but it could have
Now,
been.
do you guys up there do like a lot of like in the summer, like a lot of house parties, like poolside things like that?
It's so funny you say that. I just had someone reach out to me today to do one in June. He goes, "Hey, you available for a fundraiser?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do a fundraiser, no problem." He goes, "Adult material, no problem." Yeah, absolutely. 6:30 at night. We'll be done by 7:30, so you can double up if you want to. Oh, this sounds great. It's for 30 people.
Yeah.
Poolside at their house.
Yeah.
Whew. Okay. Well, the money's decent. I'll do it.
How many times we did a show, Rich, in the first season, we did a show called "You Know It's Going to Be a Bad Gig When." And we tried to come up with a list of the 10 things that would make a gig shitty as soon as you walked in as a comic, and we couldn't narrow it down beyond 12.
We might have to revisit that.
We had a panel of other comics. I don't know if do you know Mike McCarthy? He's a Massachusetts comic, but lived in Florida for years. So we had Mike McCarthy, this other guy, John Parada, and I think we had one other person on the show that night.
No, just the two of them.
Just the two. And we literally said, all right,
we want the top 10.
What are the top 10 things where if you're a comic and you walk into this situation, you know it's going to be a shitty gig? Like,
kids.
There's kids at the show.
Right.
The show is a surprise
to the audience.
Oh, like they don't know it's going to be a comedy show.
The crowd didn't pay to get in. The free show at the bar.
The sports bar show
where they leave the TVs on.
Leave the TVs on during playoffs. And they say, no, we'll turn the sound
We're
down.
going to mute it, though.
Yeah. What was the other ones?
Weddings.
Weddings are the worst.
One.
I'll never do a wedding.
The show where
memorial shows.
Oh where
when
you're doing a fundraiser. You're doing a fundraiser for someone.
I got one. Yeah,
and then before they bring you up into the memorial,
the in memoriam.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a great one to tell you about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I walk into a gig. Well, first of all, I got the gig. The booker calls me up and says, "Listen, it's a guy for a guy. He's dying of cancer. Now, if he dies before the show, there's no show.
Yep.
You're gonna go on if the guy is still alive. Okay. And there's no pay if he dies." So I show up at the gig. I was with another comic at the time.
If he dies halfway through the show, do I get half the money? I'm sorry. I'm a dick.
If I make the trip.
Yeah. Do I get gas money if he dies during the show?
So it's a huge benefit.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people in a huge catering hall.
Yeah.
And they go, "And now, is everybody ready? We're bringing up Father Thomas." And Father Thomas goes up and he goes, "Tony is in the hospital right now fighting for his life. Right? And he goes, "If he could see this show, you have no clue what this would mean to him." Everybody,
everyone's crying, right?
Oh my God.
So you know what we need right now? A comedian to cheer us. Let's give it up for Robert Warren. And my name wasn't right or anything.
Robert Warren.
He couldn't even get the words out. And I'm like, oh my God. I actually wish the guy did die. So I didn't.
So you didn't have to go up. I know.
I feel the pain.
Yeah, we've all had those. And isn't it funny when they tell you we're just gonna go up and say a few words before your show, and you're like, no, wait until after. No, we're gonna say it right before to kick it off. Yeah, but you're gonna bring the crowd down. No, our people are ready to laugh.
They need this.
And then they show a 15-minute slideshow of the person practically on their deathbed. Yeah, with the fucking Sarah McLachlan music playing, right?
With the Sarah in the eyes of an angel.
Yes.
With the dogs in the cages.
The dogs in the cages, the guy in the cancer bed. It's just horrible. I know.
I did a show. It was a house party for a woman that was dying, and she had cancer, and it was her wish to have comedians, but she couldn't go anywhere. So she sat in the chair with the big tank of oxygen.
Yeah.
She's like, you heard it through the whole show. It was so disturbing. But she did laugh. And
He did.
yeah. And then it was like only like a week later she went. She
And
couldn't
she
even
passed
breathe,
away.
the poor
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
I've told the story before. We did a fundraiser for a guy that was dying, and they actually brought in the hospital recliner chair in the middle of the room, and he was there with the oxygen and stuff. But you know what? He was having a great time, and he had a blast. And they didn't do the memorial before. They waited until after. They did it the right way. And I'll never forget, I got the call the next day that the guy passed away the next morning. And I was like, you know what?
You killed him.
Good for him, though. No, but good for him.
No.
He literally spent his last night on earth with all of his friends and family around him at a comedy show, having a good
Laughing.
time. Like, that was totally different.
That's how I wanna
love
go.
that show,
That's how I want to go.
See,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't get those.
I'll play that show for you. Let me know when you're dying, and I'll be there.
Now, Rich, I'm not
I'm going to
lucky-
request you.
Yes.
I'm not lucky enough to have somebody's last night and fun like that. Instead, I got booked for a fundraiser for ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah.
For a guy that played for the Boston Bruins for his foundation. And this was back, I was only a couple years in comedy, and I did this terrible, terrible joke at the time of what a guy looks like when he has an orgasm, and the fact that he looked like students on a short bus, and he looked like a handicapped person. And no one told me that the guy who the benefit was named after was there at the show. And I do that joke to close, and nobody in the room laughs. It is
dick.
I could hear the compressor in the air conditioner kicking on as I finished the joke. I could hear the hum of the compressor. It was a quiet like I've never heard before. And I'm like, and I'm like I said, new, so I had nothing else for material, so I couldn't end on anything else. So I'm like, thank you, good night, and brought the host back up to silence. And then at the end of the show, they introduce us to the guy. And I, like a bucket of shit, felt better than I did at that moment, because they give us these gift baskets to thank us. And I donated my gift basket back and said, hey, why don't you guys raffle this off with the rest of the raffles?
Because I'm a dick.
And she goes, oh, here's your check. And I'm like, I'd like to donate that back. To
in fact,
fund.
Hold on, I have my checkbook. I'm going to write you a check.
I have done that twice in my career where I didn't really realize who was there.
You don't realize what you're doing. Yeah.
No, you got to read the room.
Yeah. It's amazing how fast you learn.
Yeah.
Well, I did years ago.
Understand.
I did a backyard party. This guy, Larry, it was his retirement party. And it was under the big top tent in the back. Yeah. And I do a joke in my act about my thumb spinning. And, I looked it up on Google Health. My friend said, you got to look it up on Google Health. And what do you think comes up on Google Health for spinning thumb for 3 months? Parkinson's. And all I'm thinking about is Michael J. Fox's finger. And that was the premise of the bit, how nervous I am. Right. I don't want to know anything. And after the show, there's a crowd around me, and they're all like, you do know Larry's dying of Parkinson's. That's why he retired. And I was like, nobody told me any of this.
Well, listen, Rich.
Yes.
We can't thank you enough for being on tonight.
Amazing episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
We loved it. We definitely want to get a list of other friends of yours that are, that we'd love to get on the show. We do have, we've got Jackie Flynn coming up from the Farrelly Brothers movies. We got Andrew Kennedy coming up. We've got Brian Kiley, who is the head writer of Conan O'Brien.
Great. Now that's a great writer.
Awesome.
Yeah,
oh my God.
is.
Amazing, right?
He's also a great stand-up. So that's why I think he's such a great writer, because he does stand up as well.
Yeah.
So
we've got some great guests coming up, and we're still working on some others. So So yeah, listen up. But we absolutely appreciate you being on. I've been wanting to get
I
you
loved
on
it
for a while. I knew we would have fun with you just because of that line that you said to me that night just made me laugh so much when you said that. It was so
I want us all to work together somehow, either here on Long Island or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'll have some bourbon during the show. And
yeah, absolutely. You find us.
Fun.
Hey, listen, we'll come down to the little teeny weeny itty bitty
bitsy little
in the 50 room, and the three of us will do a show. That'll be so much fun.
Somehow
I
we figure it out.
I have friends on Long Island who are constantly asking me, when are you going to play down here? But I don't know, I didn't know how to get into any of the clubs. So we'll definitely.
Well, when I figure that out, I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know when you figure that out after 26 years.
By the way, I have theaters anyway and stuff. I'd rather do private gigs in theaters and lodges and.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you got a fundraiser down there at a VFW hall, bring us down. We'd love to come down. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll make a weekend out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
There you go.
So, Rich, what can we promote for you besides your website, which is richwalker.com?
richwalkerlive.com.
Richwalkerlive.com.
Two things I'm going to say. Also teach a comedy class called standupuniversity.com.
Okay.
And the one thing, what we're doing right now is me and a comic named Chris Monty. Do you know Chris Monty?
Oh, yeah. I've heard that name.
Very good comic.
Yeah.
Very funny comic.
He and I do a TikTok, and it's called The Monty and A-N-D Walker Show. The Monty and Walker Show. So follow us. We do a lot of little clips.
All right.
Even the funeral bit. No, it's not on it. It is on there. It is on there. Yes. That I said today with the widow at the wake. And that's on there. And but follow us there.
The Monty and Walker
show.
And
I'll put that link in the show notes.
On TikTok. We'll put it in the show notes. So
thank you so much. Absolutely. I had so much fun.
It was great. We had a blast with you, man. We'd love to have you on again. Once things open up, if you're ever up in New England or if Scott's able to get you on one of the Bradley shows, we'll definitely do another show. That'd be actually awesome if we started doing like Bradley backstage shows with whoever you've got on the Bradley show, even if they've been on before. You know?
Record back.
We did that once before with Sue Costello. We recorded her at the Bradley.
Yeah.
Would you guys also text me your phone numbers so I have them?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Absolutely. Once the show's over. Well, listen, folks. Thank you so much. If you're still watching, thank you so much for watching. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Libsyn or any of the places you get your podcasts a couple of weeks later, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We had a blast doing it. I knew Rich would be a great guest.
Thank you.
So Rich, thanks so much. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. I'm gonna bring.
I'll see you guys soon. Stay healthy.
Care, Rich.
Thank you guys. Rich. Be good.
All right. That was Rich Walker.
Wow, that was a lot of fun.
Isn't it? I knew you would.
That was a.
I knew you would love him. He's just fucking down to earth, awesome, funny guy.
He's just a funny bastard.
Yeah,
man. A funny bastard.
So much.
So,
fun.
Guys, thank you so much for supporting us. If you can, please, it would be such a huge help to take the time wherever you download your podcast to take a moment and give us a 5-star review. And a written review, just a couple of words.
Even if it's just a sentence. Hey, we love these guys, or
great podcast.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I'll do between now and the end of May. So, well, actually, this is going to come out in a few weeks.
This will probably come out in June.
So till the end of June, if you post a 5-star review for us in the end of June, at the end of June, I'm going to put every review that people put in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put their names in a drawing for a Behind the Funny hoodie.
Oh, just like I'm wearing right here. You can see it.
Yep.
If you're watching.
Yep.
If
And
it's cool.
I'll say the because it does their kind of like their sign-on name. We will say their name. They can message me and they can pick either a pullover or a zip-up hoodie. Tell me their size, and I will order it, and I will send it to you. No cost to you whatsoever.
That's awesome.
So everybody that gives us a 5-star review between now and the end of June, your name will be put in a drawing for a live from the basement behind the funny hoodie.
Awesome.
Okay.
And listen,
it's such a huge help to us.
And if you haven't watched yet, we do have some viewers tonight, but if you haven't watched and you're just listening to the podcast, if you'd like to see us record this live, check us out. We're on twitch.tv, Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling, and it's the letter N.
Yes.
But if you put Drinks, Jokes, it's going to come up.
Right.
That's the channel that we're on. We're on every Wednesday night at 8:30. And usually it's 8:30 to 9:30. Tonight it's 8:30 to 10:30. We're still on.
Carried away.
But you know what? We had fun, and that's the great thing about this show. If we're having fun, we're going to stay on, and we appreciate it. If you're watching, we'd really love you to watch because it is fun getting to see us interact with the guests.
Right.
So
we started a YouTube channel, which I started uploading video. First one went up today.
Awesome.
With our good friend Rhonda Corey.
Oh, great.
You can actually watch the video of us recording that podcast, and I will get the rest up soon enough now that I know how to do that.
Now that you know how to do that, great.
Right now it's just the audio, but I'm going to replace the audio with the actual video of us recording those episodes.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
that will be up soon enough. So there's a lot of ways to get this podcast. Listen to us wherever you download. Make sure you put in that 5-star review between now and the end of June. We will do a drawing for a hoodie. You can watch us every week live and interact with us.
Yeah.
That's the important thing with the live show. You can
we were able to talk
us.
to people on this. It was great. People were giving us comments and we were able to interact with them. So
Twitch.tv.
Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling.
Yep, / Drinks, Jokes, letter N, Storytelling. And then YouTube, go to Behind the Funny Podcast. So
and again, next week we have Andrew Kennedy, who's a friend of Scott's. He's very, very funny comic.
I'm so excited.
I've never met him, but he's hilarious. I've seen clips of him. He's absolutely hilarious.
And an amazing story.
Yeah.
And another amazing story. That's what I love about this too. We've had some people with some amazing stories.
Yeah.
And Andrew's another one of those guys that has a different story.
Yeah.
But a funny story. So I can't wait to have him on.
Well, check it out next week. We'd love to see you back here. And other than that, we'll see you
next week.